Welcome to Top Tier Tips. Alright, today I'm going to be going over the first section of as a bit of a preview for the next guide. So I'm going to be going over one of the sections, and the section I'm going to be going over today is going to be just general movement in Dead or Alive 5, or including Dead or Alive 5 last round. Alright, you're going to just start it from the top here. Alright, obviously before you really should be even practicing like how to use attacks or anything like that, the first thing to do is just to learn just how to move around, how to transverse the stages. Alright, at the most basic level, movement is just simply pressing forward or like pressing back. So if you just simply press forward, your character will walk towards the opponent. If you hold back, your character will retreat from the opponent in technically in a guarded stance. So when you're pressing back, you'll be able to guard all high and mid-level attacks. And when you press forward, you'll just simply walk towards the opponent. Alright, I mean, walking forward is probably the most basic way of approaching an opponent. I mean, compared to like anything, like when in doubt, just walk forward. But generally, you'll want to maybe do something a little bit more kind of advanced or a bit more nuanced than that. So once you get used to just simply pressing forward or pressing back, what you can do is learn to just utilize now back dashes and forward dashes. A forward dash is simply by pressing forward twice, whereas a back dash is pressing back twice. A thing I tend to do is just simply combine the two. So you can press forward, forward, then back, back, and you kind of go a bit of a in and out motion. Alright, well the thing also about dashes is you don't necessarily have to do it just once. So you can do forward, forward, to do it again, and do it continuously. Although this is just simply a basic dash. There are some other dashes you can use to advance your opponent. Another one is, instead of pressing forward, forward, such as, or also known as 6-6 or 66, you could press 3-3. This will perform what's called a crouch dash. What this will do is it should go under high attacks. If you look off the move details, you're during the animation of a crouch dash, you are in crouching status. So this is a safer way to approach the opponent than simply pressing 4-4. There's another slightly lesser known form of crouch dash, which is performed by pressing forward, quarter circle forward, or 6-2-3-6. Similar to 3-3, it also has the crouching status. But I find that this crouch dash has a slightly more recovery than the 3-3. It covers slightly more distance in terms of it covers more distance per actual dash, but I don't. It's a bit trickier to do repeatedly. Whereas the main thing I like about the 3-3 crouch dashes is you can just kind of do it. You can do it repeatedly, and you'll stay in crouch the entire time. Where with the forward, quarter circle forward, it's a bit trickier. The input is similar to like a wave dash in other 3D fighters, or the Shoryuken input in 2D fighters. Alright, those are the primary ways for advancing the opponent. And if you're at a distance, if you so please, you can also run at an opponent by just simply holding down 6. So just hold forward, then you'll run at your opponent if you're at a distance. This gives you access to your character's run-in attacks, such as run-in K or run-in P. For running, the only time you really run an opponent is if you have a lot of distance and if the opponent's keep out capability or their ability to keep you from like approaching them and get it in their face. If their keep out is not necessarily particularly strong, then you could just... The tactic I tend to do is just like run up and guard, like run up and block, different things like that. Alright, as for alright, this is for just approaching the opponent, but also another important part of movement is kind of defensive movement or like retreating. Generally, a defensive movement that I tend to recommend is called the free step block back step, which is accessed by pressing back then 4. So it's just simply pressing back twice and hold. So 4 then hold. With this movement defensive option, you're able to move back while blocking all high and mid-level attacks. So what you can do is that it's basically accessed from the free stepping in DOA5. Where the most common way to access free stepping is simply pressing down or up, so 2 or 8. See, right now I'm free stepping, although I'm technically not guarding. In order to guard, you'll see your character clench their fists together to indicate that they're in a defensive stance. So while you're walking around, you can tell when you're defending when you see your hands clenched together. Alright, for the free step block back step accessed by pressing 4, you can also access it by pressing 7, which I actually find to be a bit faster. Although it doesn't have as much defensive distance covered in terms of retreating, it accesses the defensive blocking stance much more quickly. Pressing 1 technically doesn't access it from neutral. Instead, what you'll do is you'll just do a crouch block while you're creeping back. Kind of like how 4 gives you the blocking stance standing, 1 will do it crouching. So 7 allows you to access free step. Alright, and when you're integrating movement, what you could practice is kind of going back and forth motions. Kind of like press maybe forward, then back, forward, back, kind of like practice going in and out. So kind of just think of it as 6-6-4-4, 6-6-4-4. Like just try and get used to that motion so you can get used to going in and out. Alright, when you get the hang of that, there is a more advanced technique that you can also integrate, and it's one that I tend to favor a bit also. It's called Korean Backdashing, abbreviated to KBD. What this is a fast motion where your character retreats really quickly. The motion is generally inputted by just simply pressing 2-1-4, 2-1-4 repeatedly, or quarter circle back repeatedly. It can also work if you simply do 1-2, 1-2, or 2-1, 2-1 really fast. Like you could try that. 2-1, 2-1 also works really well, but whatever one you prefer. Or even if you're really swag, you can also try and just do it with just pressing 1 repeatedly. But I find it's maybe a bit easier if you try and focus on like a bit of a quarter circle motion. Alright, in general, simply pressing back to backdash isn't really efficient if you're trying to get away from the opponent. It's hard to set up whiff punishes also, so only use the 4-4 backdash if you want to kind of have like a bit of an in and out motion. So I mean, it's better than nothing. Like, it is technically a backdash, but if you have the intent of wanting to kind of retreat more quickly, this is where I recommend Korean backdash. However, the actual movement I recommend the most for trying to back away the most safely is to use 4-4 hold or the 3-step block backstep. This is the safest way to kind of retreat from the opponent. What it does is, it not only does it create distance from your opponent, but it makes them difficult to also kind of break your guard, because they both have to find an attack that reaches you and also is able to like break your guard, because technically you're blocking, so they'll either have to use a ranged low or a guard break or the very few unblockable attacks in the game. So yes, I definitely recommend that. If you're in tight spots, like near a corner, you could use 7 to kind of maneuver around. Alright, now just for general kind of movement awareness. If you're not necessarily like in close range, let's say about mid-range to long range, I kind of recommend using the 3-step. So what you're doing while walking around with the 3-step is you're positioning yourself with regards to your surroundings. Because as you can guess in Dead or Alive 5, including last round, all the stages tend to have specific attributes to them and specific hazards. Right now I'm showing you off the new fireworks stage, which has tons of hazards to pay attention to. So what you want to do is always be being aware of your surroundings. So that's why you should be continuously positioning yourself. So a thing that you can practice is kind of being able to seamlessly alternate between fourth. So a thing I like if you do access the 3-step is that you can easily walk back and forth. See, this is the quickest way to kind of go like in and out. Because now what you do is forward is still advances, but now retreat ends up going straight into the 3-step block backstep. Whereas if you're just simply in just neutral without the 3-step, you would have to press it twice to enter it. But what you can do is simply just press 7, then you end up accessing the 3-step motion, which allows you to seamlessly go between retreat guard then approach. So what this can do is allows you to kind of close in on an opponent, but if you see like any sort of attack for them, simply press and hold back, then you can end up blocking any of their attacks while also being able to walk seamlessly. You can even start to combine the motions a bit. You can do free stepping and combine backdashes also, or even KBDs like Korean backdashes. All right, so try and find different ways to be able to utilize movement. All right. As aside from just general movement, like general moving around, a lot of characters tend to have special movements. So what I mean by special movements are like command motions, like a command sidestep, or in the case of like Ayane right here, she has different twirl stances, like different spinning. Or she also has a movement that can push her into back turn stance, but it also covers distance. So technically what she can do is enter into her back turn stance. Then if you press up and punch, or 8P, she'll end up performing a backdash that turns her around. She also has input such as 1P+K, which allows her to spin away. This will also create distance, and since it puts her into back turn stance, you can press 8P or back, and then you'll end up performing another backdash. So what I tend to do is just do 1P+K 4-4 with her sometimes, and you can end up covering quite a bit of distance. But yeah, I mean, try and find different stuff like that with your character. With it, and the other example here of Christy, she has a command sidestep called Jikayo. What it does is it's a high crushing sidestep that is able to crouch under highs. So what you can do is you could use it at a bit of a distance to make it a bit harder for an opponent to hit you, because of the combination of the sidestep with the kind of crouch, with the crouch status, ends up limiting the options they can use to try and counter hit you or attack you. See, with Christy, I also make use of her, well, it's kind of a variation on their Jikayo stance, which is their Jikayo backdash, or 2 or 8 P+K and 4-4. So you can use stuff like this to create distance. So you can get a bit creative with this. You can also use things like a forward roll, which has the ability to both crush, go under highs, and some horizontal mids. So I mean, that's another like movement option she has. I'm sure there are also other movement options from other characters, such as like I know Kasumi in Phase 4 have a stance called well, for Kasumi it's called Hoshimpo, which is her 3P+K, and what it does is it ends up high crushing towards the opponent, and also gives her access to other different moves that wouldn't regularly be accessed out of, which you can only get out of the stance. Alright, as for just continuing on now with movement, I'm going to speak a bit more about now offensive movement. When it comes to approaching an opponent, I might have said it before, but yes, I recommend doing the normal crouch dash, which is 3-3. Another benefit to this motion is that it also gives you access to 3-3 moves. Alright, for Ayane in particular, it doesn't really help her that much because her moveset doesn't really have much in terms of 3-3 moves. Like, she really just has her 3-3P low punch. But for other characters such as Hitomi or Ain, they have really powerful, really useful 3-3 attacks or motions. So what some Ain or Hitomi players may do is they may end up stunning you with something, then they 3-3, then they can buffer, say, their 3P. Like for Ain, his 3P is just a really good attack in general. It can cause a lift stun on counter hit and launch on a stun threshold hit. So with characters like Hitomi and Ain, or even Kasumi or Phase that have really good 3-3 moves, then you can really make use of 3-3 both for advancement or even during stun to try and cause maybe the opponent to flinch. Well, continuing on also with using 3-3 for buffers, that can apply to both 3-3 moves, or you can even just do it once and do 3-3, or do it like a 3P. So you can depending on if your character really benefits from it, you can it's definitely something to kind of consider. Alright, okay, I think that this will probably just do it for this. That'll probably do it for this week. Alright, the main thing I'll recommend though is just trying to see if you can find ways to make your movement seamless. So try and remember all the different kind of movement options, both for retreating and for backdashing. So for retreating, you're mostly going to be using free step block, back step, and Korean backdash. Korean backdash is used to create distance quickly, and it can be good for setting up whiffs. Where the free step block back step is used for both creating distance and doing so safely. And of course, for approaching, just utilize different dashes with priority going to the crouch dash. And of course, when in doubt, always pay attention to your surroundings and make use of 7 motion, or the 7 input and free step to be able to give yourself that competitive advantage. Alright, so thanks for tuning in today, and I hope that this was helpful, and I'll see you next time.